England have now won 5 ODIs in a row out here in Southampton at the Hampshire Bowl. A glorious afternoon as England fans celebrate an 8-wicket win over the West Indies. And Nicholas Pooran earning a maiden half-century for the West Indies. But Archer and Wood doing some major damage with 3 wickets each. They were bowled out for 212, and then England came in. They only needed 30 or so overs to ensure that they score that win. Was it the Joe Root show? Is all hope lost for the West Indies today? On the review, we are joined by Bishop and Michael Atherton. Athers, an 8-wicket win for England. Business job done. Is that pretty much what they would have planned and hoped for?
Very clinical performance from England. I think they would have been worried coming into this game because on paper West Indies look a very dangerous side. They've got a lot of match winners. In the cricket that they played so far, they'd look dangerous. But I thought West Indies were poor today. As good as England were, I thought West Indies were poor, and it was as comfortable a victory in an ODI as you could hope to get, really.
What's interesting is how many teams haven't managed to sustain the full 50 overs when given the opportunity to bat first. They would 3 for only the loss of 18 runs.
It's a combination of things. It was a good toss to win for Eoin Morgan because of the rain that we'd had, the early start at 10:30, the cloud cover. I thought England bowled quite smartly, a combination of short stuff, but also the pitched up balls as well. And I thought West Indies were poor. Some poor shots, particularly Gale and Andre Russell to the deep fielders. You know, these are big boundaries here in Southampton, and they kind of fell into the trap that was set.
Notable then that Nicholas Pooran and Shimron Hetmeyer being the guys who stood up for the West Indies, but Joe Root, the guy that I'm sure everyone is going to be talking about after this match.
His wickets first of all. I mean, that was the key wicket really, but as you said, Hetmeyer and Pooran had a really nice partnership. They're two classy young left-handers, and Eoin Morgan had to turn to Joe Root. He's not got Moeen Ali in the side, so he gave Root a go, and Hetmeyer gave him a soft wicket really, just chipping one back to Joe Root. And then a bit of a novelty, this, a kind of knuckleball bowled by Joe Root. He's been practicing different deliveries in the nets, a few leg spinners, a bit of a kind of split seam ball. So 2 wickets will have delighted him. His batting will have delighted him even more.
They didn't seem to be disrupted at all by the fact that they've been training indoors. The batting was absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, Root's in terrific touch, isn't he? He's now the tournament's top run scorer. He's got a couple of hundreds in this World Cup. He's got 3 all told in World Cups. I think England have only ever scored 8 or 9 in total. He is a high-class player. There is room in a long 50-over game for all kinds of batsmen. You've got the likes of Chris Gale who can muscle it over the fence, but there is room for your classy, touch timing player like Joe Root.
So Wood getting 3 wickets there for only the loss of 18 runs. A lot of people talking up the rivalry between him and Archer, but both of them certainly doing the business.
I think they're good for each other because what you want in a team is that kind of internal competitive dynamic with players pushing each other to better performances. And what you've got with Archer and Wood is a look at the speed gun. Both want to be the quickest bowler. And both are pushing each other to be the quickest bowler.
Archer was a bit expensive at one point, and then he was brought back in later. A good captaincy there?
Well, he had a terrific battle with Gale early on. Then he came back and got the key wicket of Pooran, and Morgan was right to bring him back then because there was a chance to bowl West Indies out. So a big wicket of Pooran, and then he's too good, too quick, too good for the tail. And as you mentioned, West Indies failed to see out their 50 overs.
Now, something that many England fans will be concerned about in spite of this win is the fact that Jason Roy at this stage has an unconfirmed, we don't know what the seriousness of it, but he has some sort of hamstring stiffness.
And the captain, Eoin Morgan. So this is Roy, first of all, chasing a shot from Chris Gale. He pulled up pretty smartly, grabbed his left hamstring. We'll wait and see how serious it is. And this was Morgan. And he had a back spasm, so he walked off pretty gingerly. They are 2 crucial players for England. One, the captain, who has driven this one-day revolution, and secondly, Roy, who is such an important player at the top of the order.
The guy who scored 153 against Bangladesh, but also injured this very same hamstring against the West Indies in that ODI series earlier this year. That left hamstring is just not giving him any.
Well, he's had hamstring injury, as you say, against West Indies in the ODI series, and also a back injury earlier on in this season. So whether the two are linked, who knows? But it seems a bit fragile at the moment. England will be cross fingers that he's good for the rest of the tournament, because he's a really important player for them.
Okay, well, Athers, I'm going to bid you farewell, since you need to get to Cardiff. You can make sure that you catch Athers and myself tomorrow in Cardiff for Afghanistan, South Africa. Joining us now, Ian Bishop. Welcome to the review. West Indies, unfortunately, not happy reading looking at that scorecard.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed, first of all. I think Michael Atherton and yourself touched on it. The batting let the team down. Guys didn't kick on. Puran was the standout, not only because of his score, but the way that he played, the pace that he set. He looked unfussed. But when you look at Russell in particular, he did some soul searching after his dismissal against Australia. And he said it's something that he had to rectify. And then I think he'll reflect today and say he did the same thing again. And we discussed a lot before the game about the big boundaries here, not falling into the trap. And the West Indies will be disappointed they did fall into it.
Puran, however, must, in terms of what he did today, do a lot for their confidence, knowing that they've got him in their lineup.
Yes, for Puran himself, the way that he has controlled his batting, not only in this game, but the two previous knocks, a 40 and a 30, it was risk-free batting. And the thing about him is that I've had the benefit of talking to him a number of times at practice sessions during this tournament, and he will always come and he will express the fact that he's searching for little things to take him to the next level. What did he do well after Pakistan? What did he do well after Australia? How would he succeed today? And you can see steps being made gradually.
Such great professionalism there by him. Now, Andre Russell, a major injury concern for West Indies. They do face the prospect of not having him for every match. They didn't select him the previous time.
Yep, it's a problem. Forget his wrist. He's had that perennial problem. But the knees, what the guys, I think what they're saying is that it's almost bone on bone where the cartilage has been eroded. So the impact on that through a game means that there'll be some swelling, there'll be a lot of pain that needs time to rectify itself. So they try to balance the team by getting the extra bowler in, by asking those all-rounders to take responsibility, proving challenging.
So what do they do to ensure they get back on the winning path?
Evan Lewis has to start scoring runs.
Evan Lewis, it's on you.
No, he's one. I'm going to itemize them for you.
Okay.
It's important that he gets into his best form. Otherwise, Darren Bravo has to come in and sit in there and get batsmen scoring hundreds. Their next game against Bangladesh is one they would have targeted to win, even though Bangladesh have beaten them the last 3 series, one in Ireland, one in Bangladesh, one in the Caribbean. But it's a game at their very best. The West Indies will feel there are 2 points we need to have.
And it's also, of course, the same Bangladesh side that beat South Africa. Let's take a look at the points table where we find ourselves at this stage. After match 19 of 45, New Zealand leading, net run rate there looking very solid. England's push theirs up. Australia, India rounding out the top 4. West Indies in 6th and Bangladesh. So Bangladesh will also obviously be eyeing that as an opportunity to creep closer into that top 4 spot. Make sure that you keep following at Cricket World Cup at ICC. We are bringing you all of the inside looks at how the teams prepare and also on match days. Thank you so much, Ian Bishop, for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and keep following us during the tournament. For now, farewell from Southampton.
Good morning to everyone around the world. My thoughts are this will be an absolute cracker.
You should call me before I go, 'cause I got options, don't think I don't. There's something good though,
Drops it.
and feeling more. You should call me
On the charge.
before I go. Stand by.
Very good catch.
There's a million other people here tonight. You know I could have a good one if I lie. Yeah, you
back foot, now one off the front foot. Joe Root at his best.
Instantly gets clocked.